Is your money safe with Raisin, Wealthfront Cash Account, or the Fidelity brokerage account? All three of these are companies that I use and that I've promoted. Now I'm wondering, after watching this recent CoffeeZilla video about Yotta, if my money is safe. Is your money safe? Because I've referred over 100 people to Wealthfront Cash Account and some of the others, and I'm just wondering, did I do the right thing? In the most recent CoffeeZilla video, he talks about Yotta, how people's accounts are locked at Yotta because of a dispute with a service provider. Abrupt shutdown of financial middleman Synapse has frozen thousands of Americans' deposits. Synapse is the software that's used by Yotta's bank that they use, because Yotta's not a bank, manages the accounting and transfers, that sort of thing, as far as I understand. Their bank is Evolve Bank and Trust. There's a dispute between these two. Synapse cut them off, and they're filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy now. So I'm just thinking, could the same thing happen with the Wealthfront Cash Account, Fidelity, or Raisin? Because none of these are banks. Now, I read through some of CoffeeZilla's comments for this video. Your money is so safe you can't even get to it. That's what one guy says. Another guy says, finance YouTubers, ? Promoting scams, ? I could never have seen this coming, ? Here's another guy that says, Graham Stephan is a wolf in sheep's clothing. FTX pumping Shiba Inu. Yotta, dude is involved in every scam possible and takes zero responsibility. So I'm thinking, after I start seeing this, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to be the next guy. Maybe they're going to be saying the same thing about me, because I said, try out Fidelity brokerage account, try out the Wealthfront Cash Account, and because I've also been promoting Raisin, I've actually gotten some money from referring Raisin to others, because Raisin pays some of the highest APY, higher than what you can get with most banks. A lot of these banks, you go to the same banks, you get less money. I've been promoting this. I've been getting some referral money from this. Maybe I'm going to be the next guy they say is a YouTube financial scammer. So I want to look today, do a little bit more due diligence, and make sure, am I promoting something that I think is safe? And so that's what I'm going to do. So I thought the best thing I could do is actually ask these companies if they're going to be impacted in some way. I asked if Raisin is impacted if they have a third-party provider like Synapse. It says no, Raisin does not use a third-party company like Synapse for transferring funds. Instead, Raisin handles all transactions within its secure platform, which is directly integrated with partner banks and credit unions. It minimizes reliance on external entities, which could potentially introduce additional risk. All the banks that Raisin uses are FDIC and NCUA insured. Everybody knows that. But it's the transfer, the money that's being transferred. Is there a middleman in between? No middleware that could go bankrupt. So I guess that means they own the software. Since Raisin does not rely on third-party middleware companies to handle funds transfers, there is no additional risk if the partner bank files for bankruptcy that would affect customer funds. All transactions are conducted directly with the partner financial institutions. So that looks pretty good so far from Raisin. Now I asked Wealthfront. Okay, so what does Wealthfront say? Wealthfront does not outsource our brokerage infrastructure to external partner. We build our own core brokerage infrastructure in-house, which allows us to internally maintain necessary systems and records needed to verify balances and transactions. Practically, this means Wealthfront directly holds the books and records for our clients' assets, handles all money movement, and can pull funds out of partner banks at any time. R&T Deposit Solutions is covered as part of our third-party risk management program, which periodically assesses the financial risk of third parties to provide services. Wealthfront also performs daily reconciliations of balances held at each partner bank against both our books and records and those at R&T, with daily reconciliations tested by EY as part of their annual audit. They also add that they partner with a number of banks directly without any involvement from R&T, which prevents our program from being reliant on any one bank or partner. Wealthfront does not work with Synapse or Yotta. And also I want to mention that Wealthfront does not use any of the banks mentioned by Yotta. They don't use Evolve and they don't use Threadbank also. None of those are partners. Also, they add that Wealthfront Brokerage undergoes an annual independent audit by a Big Four accounting firm to make sure all our control framework, statements, and books are all accurate. Here's a list of the Wealthfront Cash Account participant banks. And if we look here, we'll see that none of the banks mentioned on Yotta are listed in here. Threadbank and Evolve Bank and Trust, none of those are listed. So that's a good thing. If we look further, he didn't mention anything about Green Dot Bank. Now, Wealthfront uses Green Dot Bank, which I'm not a big fan of. They've got really poor ratings. But so far, I've had pretty good luck with the Wealthfront Cash Account. Green Dot Bank is also powering the Apple Cash Card. So they're working with big companies. It says here, your Green Dot account is a deposit account. Money in your Green Dot account will not earn interest. The Green Dot account is not your Wealthfront brokerage cash account. Each day, Wealthfront sweeps excess funds from your Green Dot account to your brokerage cash account. Your funds begin generating interest once they reach your Wealthfront brokerage account. And then I guess at that point, they get transferred to the FDIC insured banks. That part here is not really listed. Your Green Dot account is insured to the regulatory limits by the FDIC. If we actually go down and look, now you saw that they mentioned a lot of stuff about Wealthfront brokerage. Actually, the Wealthfront cash account goes through what they call the Wealthfront brokerage account. So the money is actually in a brokerage account for a very brief period of time, which is not FDIC insured, before it gets transferred to the FDIC part of the account. So usually that's the same day from what I've read, but there is that slight risk that, you don't have FDIC insurance for maybe that first day that the money goes in the account. But I'm not so much worried about that. I'm worried more about these companies like Synapse, and I'm not seeing that there's any vulnerable company yet with Wealthfront. And as you're probably aware, the Wealthfront Cash Account has up to $8 million in FDIC insurance through partner banks. I also asked Fidelity. I asked what sort of third-party risk do they have with their brokerage account or their cash management account. They mentioned that their ACH goes through UMB Bank, which is an FDIC insured bank. The Fidelity rep that I spoke with also mentioned that their wire transfers go through Chase Bank, which is the largest bank in the U.S. I believe it's the largest bank in the world, but don't quote me on that. So if Chase is probably one of the safest banks. And also he mentioned that they have all the software in-house. As far as I know, they're not using any third-party software that could be impacted. By the way, Fidelity is one of the largest financial institutions with over $13 trillion in assets. That's customer funds that have invested in Fidelity in one way or another. So $13 trillion, and I believe that's even more than Vanguard now. So in the event that they would have a problem, more than likely, if there was some third-party company, they would just buy the company out, or it wouldn't be a problem. And a company this large is basically too big to fail. If something happens, the government would probably bail them out in one way or another. Now, I must have gotten very lucky because I've never signed up with Yotta. I've never done a review on it. And I haven't used any of these companies that have worked with Evolve Bank and Trust or Synapse. And the main reason for this is I couldn't find a way to review Yotta. They don't pay like a high interest rate. They pay like in prizes or a lottery type payout. And I just don't know how to review something like that. I would rather have money. The same thing with the other one. There's another one that was impacted in one way called Copper. Copper is an app that pays some sort of credits for games or something like that. I'm just not into playing games with the bank. They pay in gift cards or something. I don't see an interest rate advertised here, so I never signed up with this one. This one was also impacted in one way, as I understand. Now, if we look at Evolve Bank and Trust or Better Business Bureau rating, I don't know if these are mostly recent reviews, but they've got a really, really poor rating, 1.27 out of 5 stars. And you've got 160 complaints closed, 93 complaints closed. If we look at the complaints, a lot of these are people complaining that their account is locked. Here we have one from May 24th. They keep my money, and Evolve had decided to stop processing ACH for Yotta, so I cannot withdraw my money. It's more of the same. Everyone's complaining about the same thing. And you can't blame these people for being mad. I mean, if your money was locked up for the amount of time that people have had their money in there for weeks or months and they haven't been able to get access. Originally, I thought this was something that was not disclosed at all, the third-party provider that was the risk, Synapse. But when you actually start looking at the disclosure for Yotta, or even go back to the Wayback Machine just to make sure that they didn't change it, if we actually go and look at the deposit agreement, the deposit agreement says right here, this was from, it says last revised May 2023. So it's over a year old. It says Synapse on it right at the top. So they're disclosing that there's this Synapse financial, it's part of the agreement. So it's not just an agreement between Evolve Bank and Trust and the customer. It says Synapse is an agent of the bank for the purposes and will be responsible for carrying out some of the responsibilities under the agreement as our agent. And it mentions here that the account is made available to you by Evolve Bank and Trust. So they do mention a little bit of the third party, which I found interesting because I thought this would be a huge risk. I mean, what if you've got a customer that uses something like a cloud-based Office 365, and let's say that company goes out of business, and then all of your spreadsheet or whatever goes with it, and they never even disclose that they use them. At least they mention here that they use Synapse, but then this is more work for the customer to do. So I'm not blaming the customer so much, but it is good that they actually mentioned that they use Synapse, because if they fail to mention this, that would be, even worse. So Yotta did a good thing in mentioning this. I don't know if they had to by law, but it's nice that they disclosed it in the agreement. So I give them some points for that. And if we go back to December of 2022, you can see that Evolve mentions here that they did a partnership with Synapse Financial. They renewed their partnership agreement. Getting back to the Wealthfront Cash Account, we know that Wealthfront Cash Account uses R&T deposit solutions, and their books and records have daily reconciliations tested by EY. Now, I didn't know what EY was, so I actually looked it up. Okay, EY stands for Ernst & Young, one of the largest accounting/auditing firms in the US, maybe even the world. They're the ones that are doing the reconciliation. If we look at R&T Deposit Solutions, the company that Wealthfront Cash Account sometimes uses, it's not some high-flying company like Synapse, which was founded in 2014. This company has been around since 1974, providing cash management and deposit placement programs to the financial services industry. This is not some high-flying newcomer company that's only dealing business with fintechs. This is a company that's been around for a long time. And Wealthfront has a third-party risk management program which periodically assesses the financial risk of the third-party companies they're dealing with. So this is good enough for me. I'm pretty satisfied, and I think it's safe. You be the judge if you think it's safe for you. And since I'm pretty confident that Wealthfront Cash Account is not going to have the same issue that Yotta had, I have a referral. I'm currently earning 5.5% APY on my money with the Wealthfront Cash Management Account. I can refer others, and you'll also get a 0.50% boost. I get nothing other than they give me a 3-month boost extension, but as you can see, I'm already boosted all the way up until November, so it's just going to boost me a little bit longer. Here's the invite link. I'll post it in the description below if you want to sign up. Also, I also recommend the Fidelity brokerage account. It pays roughly 5%. They have the best customer service. I get nothing for referring people to this. You can do your banking through Fidelity just like you can with the Wealthfront Cash Account. You can get a debit card, you can do bill pay, and it pays a high, roughly 5% APY. And I'm also recommending Raisin. Now, I'm not recommending Raisin as a regular use checking or savings account. This is more like a account where you put the money away for a month, 2 months, 3 months. However, don't expect to use Raisin for a daily account where you're paying bills from it. You actually won't receive an account number. You can transfer money from Raisin to something like Fidelity or Wealthfront or another bank and transfer back and forth, but you can't do bill pay from Raisin. and it's very difficult to change bank accounts. But what you do get with Raisin is a very high rate, some of the highest rates, and they're all FDIC and credit union insured. When you sign up with my referral link, you'll get a $50 bonus all the way up to a $200 bonus depending on the amount that you deposit. Now you have to deposit $5,000 and keep it there for 90 days, and you have to sign up with my referral code. Just a word of warning, when you sign up, make sure that you use a bank account that you're going to use for a long time, because they make it extremely difficult to change your bank account. If you have to change it, this is what you're going to have to go to. That's my biggest complaint about Raisin, that and the fact that you don't get an account number, so you can't do bill pay. So you're basically transferring back and forth between banks. However, if you want the highest rate and you want to use this like a CD, this is a great account. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please press that like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Have a good one.